much did Broadway influence your writing as far as the music, songwriting goes?
Well, my heroes were George Gershwin, Irving Berlin, Richard Rodgers, Cole Porter, Johnny Mercer. These were the people who I really loved, and they influenced my writing. You know, the doo-wop is very simple. But when you have a surprise chord, I hear the warmth of a hand in mine. Ooh, there's the drop-dead chord, and that's the lift, the emotional lift.
So tell me about The Immigrant. We know the inspiration, but when did you decide I want to write a song not only about John Lennon, but my family and my idea of what America really is?
I always thought that Immigrants was the basic crux of America, and I felt it should be told in music and words. And Phil Cody, who wrote the song with me, said, give me on Broadway. So I took the D to the A-7. Here it is. Harbors open their arms to the young searching foreigner.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Come to live. Just those two chords would change the... And then, of course, the hook. There was a time when strangers were welcome here. Music would play, they tell me the days were sweet, sweet and clear. It was a sweeter tune, and there was so much room that people could come from everywhere.
It's fantastic.
Then there's Breaking Up Is Hard to Do. Should I tell you how I wrote that?
Yeah, tell me how you wrote it, but then talk about the complete transformation. And you're the only artist that's had 2 number ones with the same song with two different arrangements.
2 different tempos.
And 2 different tempos.
Well, the original was doobie-doo down, down, comma, comma. I was the king of the doobie-doos. Down, down. Don't take your love. 3 kneels. I loved it. I learned it from Les Paul and Mary Ford. Don't you leave my heart in misery. Years later, 1976, I was fooling around at the piano and discovered that Breaking Up worked as a slow gin mill song. Don't take your love away from me. And I love Dinah Washington. Don't you leave my heart in misery. 'Cause if you go...
It's beautiful.
And it was a hit as a gin mill song.
So let's talk about the transition from classical to rock and roll. What was the first rock and roll song you can remember writing as you were making that transition?
Here's one, because of the Chopin playing. I wrote, Solitaire's the only game in town. Every road that takes him down. While life goes on around him everywhere. Inspired by Chopin, these suspensions.
It's beautiful.
Well, you know, that's what it is. If you reach them passionately, make them cry.
Right.
Then I'm on the right track.
Yeah, well, you definitely have been on the right track for a very long time. Neil Sedaka, thank you so much. What a great honor. I'm glad we bumped into each other at the restaurant.
I'm so glad. We'll have to do it again.
I'm looking forward to it.
Neil Sedaka, Break It Up is hard to do.
Down, doobie-doo, down, down. Comma, comma, down, doobie-doo, down, down. Breaking up is hard to do.
Neil Sedaka, we ought to first tell people how this came about, this interview came about, we were having dinner in the same restaurant, and I nudged Mika. I said, "Oh my God, it's Neil Sedaka."
And you walked over, I was shocked.
Yeah.
I said, "That is Morning Joe."
Yeah. Well, it was around the time of John Lennon's birthday, and I've always thought about the Immigrant Song.
There was a time when strangers were welcome here. Yes, there was.
Can we talk about the Immigrant Song first and why you wrote it?
Well, John Lennon was a friend, and he was going through a period where he couldn't get a green card. And I thought it would be a nice gesture to dedicate and write a song to him. And I'm from immigrant people, and my co-writer Phil Cody's people were from Italy. We didn't know how relevant it still will be today, and how immigrants are such an integral part of America.
To finally close the door, they don't want him anymore.
John Lennon was known as being a pretty tough guy at times to get along with. But he also said something that, coming from one of the great songwriters in rock history, he said, "What is it about Brooklyn? They must put something in that water because they breed the greatest songwriters in the world."
We had a phenomenon. Carole King, Barbra Streisand, Neil Diamond lived across the street. I think there was something in the egg cream. It must have been, because there was so many musical people.
When did you decide to make the transition to a rock and roll songwriter?
When I was 13, I discovered that I could write songs and sing. I got my first check from writing a song called Stupid Cupid by Connie Francis.
And that wasn't even the biggest hit you wrote for Connie Francis.
No, I was signed to RCA Victor when I was 19, and I had 8 top 10 records in a row. Happy Birthday, Sweet 16, Calendar Girl, Breaking Up Is Hard to Do, Little Devil, many songs.
And for Connie Francis, Where the Boys Are?
Where the Boys Are. The career took a turn.
They say that breaking up is hard to do.
Can you talk about the Brill Building sound and the culture?
Yes. Mort Schumann and Doc Pomus, who were great writers and friends of mine, said that there was a new office across the street at the new Brill Building because it was young writers for a young market. Mm-hmm. We were given a little cubicle with a piano and a desk, no windows, and we went in 5 days a week from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. and wrote songs on a salary, $50 a week. And if you got a hit, then you graduated to a room with a window.
I beg of you, don't say goodbye.
One of the things that when I'm playing a song or somebody's hearing a song, they go, "Oh, what a gift to be able to write a song like it just comes out of thin air."
Not easy.
Talk about how much hard work and sweat it is for you, especially at your level, to be able to do that.
Not easy. It's part of the brain, the creative side. Some days you got a piece of a song. Some days you got nothing, zilch. But the more you do that, the more you develop that side of the brain. I tried to reinvent Neil Sedaka, raise the bar. Mm-hmm. And after 5 years and about 50 million records, the bottom fell out. Right. And the Beatles came in.
Right.
And the Rolling Stones. And I was a thing of the past.
Let's talk about your big comeback in '74. How did that happen? Because you really exploded back onto the scene in '74 and '75.
So once you're used to being number one, once you're used to that audience standing up, it's like a drug. Mm-hmm. And I wanted it with a passion again. So I listened to, in the 70s, singer-songwriters, and I went to England, And I met a guy by the name of Elton John. You ever hear of him?
I think I have.
And he was a fan.
Right.
And he said, "You're having hits in America. I'm starting a record company called Rocket Records. I would like to sign you. Are you interested?" I said, "Am I interested?"
Yeah.
Yes. And he put out an album called Sedaka's Back to people who didn't remember the original Neil Sedaka from the 50s. And the single was Laughter in the Rain. And he did it for me. They called him EJ the DJ. He went from station to station and he promoted Neil Sedaka, the new Neil Sedaka.
And by the way, in 74 and 75, Elton John was at the zenith of his career. He was the most massive superstar in the world.
Once he walked into a radio station and the disc jockeys took notice, Elton John is promoting Neil Sedaka. If he thinks it's good, it must be good. Well, Sedaka's back.
Let's move forward to what you've been doing the past couple of years. I absolutely love how you kept connecting with fans during COVID.
For 3 years, I did a mini concert 5 days a week, 15 minutes a day, 3 songs. And I got, from all over the world, people said, "Bless you, thank you for entertaining us." And it was good for me too. It was very therapeutic. A friend of mine did it with his phone, and these are the songs they grew up with. They say that breaking up is hard to do. My audience is elderly, and it brought back wonderful memories. Don't say this is the end. Instead of breaking up, I wish that we were making up again. It brought back memories for me.
As we look back over your extraordinary career, is there one thing that stands out?
I think the songs will outlive me. Songs I wrote 50, 60 years ago, I hear on the radio. So it's a form of immortality. And I leave it to my children and my grandchildren. And the royalties go on until 70 years after my death. Then it becomes public domain. So that's I'm most proud of.